T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, and welcome to Professional Readiness Course, our second webinar. I want to thank everybody for being here live with me, Edgar Areola. I'm studying my bachelor's degree in technological education in English at the University of Mariano Galvez here in Guatemala City, Guatemala. So I want to thank everybody who is here from different countries. I know I have a lot of people and a lot of support. So thank you very much. If you guys have any questions during the presentation, please write them in the chat and I'll try to respond to them as fast as I can while we go forward with the webinar. So without further ado, we're going to start our class on the flipped classroom, which is a methodology that we like to use as teachers to enhance the experiences of our students. So let's get started. Methodologies to apply Part 1, the flipped classroom with Edgar Areola. Here we go. The content for today's webinar is number 1, methodologies. What are they? Exactly, we're going to explain what they entail and how we can use them and how we can apply them into our classes. Methodologies number 2, it's going to be the type. Find out about different types of methodologies. We're going to run through the gambit of, I believe, 10 different methodologies that I'm going to present today. Number 3 is the flipped classroom. It's going to be the actual presentation of exactly what the flipped classroom is and how we can utilize those in our classes with our students. And number 4, video explanations from experts. We're going to hear from experts and they're going to give us a detailed look at the flipped classroom. And 5, we're going to have a statement. We're going to have a closing statement, closing remarks on the flipped classroom, my personal opinion. And number 6, we're going to talk about the upcoming live events that we're going to do here on Facebook as you're joining me live today. So like I said, if you have any questions, write them in the chat and we will answer them in the order they are received. So here we go. What are methodologies in education? According to Wesson, 2014, from infobloom.com, the teaching methodology is essential, and it's essentially the way in which a teacher chooses to explain or teach material to students so they can learn material. A methodology is a means to dispense information to our students, and the preferred method is up to the educator. So let's look at some examples of these methodologies that we're talking about. Methodology types. Well, the older ones are lecturing. Everybody remembers that when we were growing up. The teacher speaks and the students listen, and it's a traditional method, and well, you learn what you learn in the class session. If you miss something, then you don't have any way of remembering it unless you took really, really good notes. That's one methodology that we can use with an older view. Discussions, we're getting a little bit more modern there. We can have an open exchange with students. An open forum where everyone exchange ideas, but some students are also left out, the more timid students that don't want to participate in those exchanges. Then we have a teaching-centered approach, a more traditional teaching method that the teacher teaches and the students learn just like lecturing. Then we can move on to new methodologies like the student-centered approach, focuses on the students, and a constructivism approach is instilled in the class where students learn from the inside out. Another one is student-based approach, where students learn with projects, and that's a project-based learning approach, where students develop projects and learn lifelong learning by developing and answering project questions. Another few types of methodologies, 10 in total that we're going to talk about today. The newer virtual trips, students visit or go on quests to learn about faraway places, like they could take an adventure to the zoo, they can go to Italy, learn about different Italian culture that they might not get the chance to do otherwise. Problem-based learning, where students identify a problem and solve the problem with a project or with an idea, a campaign. Entrepreneurship can be used, where they develop a project to sell something to better the community or develop a problem. Mobile learning applications. How many of us leave the house without our phone? Nobody. Everybody takes their phone everywhere they go, including students. And this is where we can use our devices to teach and use different applications with mobile learning and this methodology to improve the styles that we teach in. Also, very important, we're going to talk about this in a couple weeks on the next live. We're going to talk about these two subjects, and they're going to be gamification and virtual reality and artificial intelligence integration into our classrooms. Gamification is where the student uses learning-centered games to gain knowledge. And basically, they go on quests, they earn badges, they beat levels to advance, and this teacher can evaluate them firsthand with the application that they sent the student with gamification by playing games. And then we have virtual reality and artificial intelligence, another student-based approach where students learn with projects and simulations. Simulations have been used for years. Now that we can put on an Oculus and we can view them in a 3D virtual world, it makes learning so interactive. And artificial intelligence, which was developed by Tom Coldell in the 80s, and it helps students view things in a 3D model with drawings on a screen. So we'll be learning about those in the coming weeks, and everybody sign up for those. That's my plug for the next couple of weeks of our Facebook Lives. But moving on, we're going to talk about the flipped classroom. According to Tranche 2020, the flipped classroom is a blended learning model in which traditional ideas about the classroom activities and homework are reversed or flipped. In this model, instructors have students interact with new material for homework first. Then they use class time to discuss the information and put these ideas into practice. This methodology means that the flipped classroom model can be used with old techniques and applied in a more conventional manner. In addition, the assignment roles are inverted, so students have the material firsthand and can analyze the work ahead of time before class begins to optimize the class time. And the question and answer period is maximized for the teacher. Beginning ahead of the class time is also valuable for the instructional process of everything that we teach. A teacher can have more time to answer questions and attend to the students that need more attention, and we can maximize the time that we spend with each student, not only teaching to the bottom of to the top of the class. We can focus on the more introverted children or students as well. Let's look at an example of the pre-flipped classroom. Here we can see the pre-flip. In the pre-flip, we can see an example of the model of the classroom. The model uses a traditional method and sticks the old school approach of doing things with classroom activities, and the teacher teaches and the class just sits and takes in information. This is wrong because the teacher lectures for 90% of the time in class. The teacher is teaching from the outside, not teaching from the inside. Application time for the students to actually work is only 10%, We're not optimizing the 90%, the 100% of our class. We're not. If we could even get this to 50%, we'd be better. But 90, wouldn't you like to free up that 90% chance? So the teacher is teaching to the middle of the class, and some students are left behind. This is a pre-flipped model of how not to do things, of how we used to do things before we had the knowledge and capabilities to implement different methodologies with our students. After the flip, we can see the model here, and now we are using 90% application time, 10% lecture time to distribute the materials inside class, and now we're teaching to the bottom of the class. And where's the teacher? The teacher's in the middle teaching to everybody. So nobody is left behind, and the teacher has more time to develop and answer questions. That's after the flip. But let's say we have a project we want to do with our students where we need to maximize and save time in the classroom so we can help with the learning experience and maximize the learning experience. Well, in comes the flipped classroom. We send students the instructions pre-class. The students read and analyze the information like a YouTube video or an article on a website. The student comes to class with that prior knowledge, ready to learn. We can see here in this article, this is an article that I've been developing with my students, and it's a model. It's called the ADDIE model, and it's how to plan courses online. So with the teachers that we teach in professional readiness course, we apply the ADDIE model to make sure that they understand how to develop new coursework and how to develop lesson plans using this method. So what I do is pre-hand, I send the students this article with a YouTube video they can watch shortly on ADDIE, so I don't have to explain the entire model to them pre-class, and I have more time free to give them coursework. Like when I send them this, I have them ready, preloaded to learn. That's what I like to call it. So they get their material, they watch the video, they read exactly what the learning objectives are in ADDIE. What ADDIE stands for is Analyze, Design, Develop, Implement, and Evaluate. And most of your projects will incorporate these procedures when you take a professional readiness course. You analyze, you design, you develop, you implement, and then you have an evaluation, because we're teaching teachers and we're having them become better at what they do, developing lesson plans, which I know we have a lot of master teachers here, but we can always learn something new, always learn something to develop lesson plans more fluidly and more effectively. And our evaluations is also important too. So the students receive all this information pre-hand, and what do I have them do in class? I have them develop a lesson plan according to the ADDIE model. So the first thing they do is analyze what their problem is, and they have to think of a problem. Then they have to design a course or learning objectives and learning material. Then they develop the content for the course. Then they implement it, and then they have a final evaluation to self-evaluate, or they show their evaluation for their lesson plan. I always like to do both, because self-evaluation is an important key to personal development and personal growth. So if we continue, that's how I implement it in my daily coursework for students. And if we go back to the presentation, we can see a video example from an expert at Sprouts. And that was 2015, and it describes the methodology to flipping the classroom. Let's watch that now.
The flipped classroom is a new method of teaching that is turning the traditional classroom on its head. Every day, thousands of teachers deliver the exact same lesson in class to millions of students. Every night, millions of students sit over the exact same homework, trying to figure out how to solve it. The flipped classroom is turning this upside down. Traditionally, Students listen to lectures and take tests in class, and read textbooks and work on problem sets at home. In flipped teaching, students first study the topic by themselves, typically using video lessons on YouTube, and then apply the knowledge by solving problems and doing practical work in class. Modern schools who flipped their classroom report many benefits. 1. It allows all students to learn at their own pace, as videos can be watched again. 2. It's more efficient, as students enter the classroom prepared to contribute. 3. It enriches the classroom, as more time can be spent on group work and projects. 4. Doing homework in class allows students to help each other, which benefits both the advanced and less advanced learners. Flipping also brings changes for teachers. Traditionally, teachers engage most with the confident students who ask questions. Flipping allows teachers to target the students who really need help, instead of just those who are confident. Also, instead of instructing from the front, teachers guide on the side. This allows them to work more closely with individuals or small groups. Teachers that are not great presenters can use third-party videos to explain the concept and focus on methods of teaching that suit their style, such as project work or experiments. Once video lectures are made available online, teachers don't need to give the same lecture over and over again. Again, they gain more time to focus on the needs of their class. Many scholars also argue that the flipped classroom model promotes equal learning opportunities, as all kids get the same attention when doing their homework. Currently, kids with caring parents, older siblings at home, or expensive private tutors have a clear advantage over those who don't. Let us know what you think. If you were a teacher, tell us if this model would be possible in your classroom. If you were a student, let us know if you would prefer.
Okay, so that's a little background on the flipped classroom. Let's move on to another expert's opinion
The flipped classroom is
of the flipped classroom. This is Gimbar. 2011 describes why she applied the methodology to her math class. She gives a detailed explanation. Let's listen to what she has to say.
I'm Katie Gimbar, and I'm taking time to answer questions about my flipped classroom. This question comes from Andrea in Illinois. Why is this called flipping the classroom? The basic answer here is that, the kids are spending the time outside of class watching these lecture videos so that when they come into class, they're being able to apply more information and do collaborative learning. But going through this process of having flipped my classroom, I've learned that this answer is much bigger than that. We're talking about a classroom paradigm shift in efficiency. Prior to this, I was spending 90% of my class time lecturing, dragging the students through information, and 10% of our class time could actually be spent on applying the information. Now, whether my students are watching those lecture videos within class time or outside of class, there's only 10% of that time being allocated to watching and going through the material, and 90% of the class time is spent on application, project-based learning. This is the real shift. This is where flipping really comes in. Instead of just watching the lecture videos for homework, it's an actual shift of what's going on in our classroom, where 90% of our time is now being allocated to application. To learn more about flipping, visit the Friday Institute's website.
Okay, so that was her explanation on why she flipped the classroom, and as she explained, it is a paradigm shift that the students that she changed the game with the students because she was applying more student work time instead of lecture work time. So that's an interesting aspect. Okay, moving on to my final statement. The closing statement. There are many methodologies to choose from. With different ages, new and bold ideologies are delivered to us. The educator must be prepared to learn as much as the students we teach. The sky is the limit when it comes to our teaching methods and the style of process in which we teach. So we have to get out there and learn. We have to get out there and develop our craft, our trade, We have to learn how to install new and different ideologies, new and different methodologies, so that we can become better teachers and our students become better learners. Not everybody learns in the same way, so switching up the methodologies would be ideal. In the coming weeks, upcoming live events include Methodologies to Apply Part 2, which will be the second part to our Methodologies series in this webinar series, which is gamification. And gamification can be applied like flipping the classroom and all the other project-based learning activities that we know that are key in and essential in developing our students and teaching them in awesome and different ways. Another upcoming live event is going to be the 2021 Learning for the Future virtual reality and augmented reality integration, which are going to be very, very interesting. I invite you guys to join and stay tuned to all the upcoming events. And thank you for being here. It means a lot for the amazing support everyone has shown. It means a lot to me to be able to have this webinar series and show everybody different aspects of teaching that we can use to better our craft. So I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for the comments and the questions. Until next time.